Hello everybody, and welcome to my Tenmaku Cinema, Chapter 4 review. This chapter is titled, Hajime and Tenmaku on the Town. Now, last time in Tenmaku Cinema, it was the third chapter, and I sort of started this review series. And what ended up happening was at the end of the chapter, we saw Tenmaku sort of in his old previous self as Hajime was looking through his phone to sort of research about Tenmaku, but didn't really find anything, but we see a picture with Tenmaku in it as Tenmaku looks really young. And that was where the last chapter ended off, and in this chapter 4, we really get nothing much on that. I mean, we get a little bit of a flashback of Tenmaku at some point, but it's not even something that lasts an entire page, so it's not really something to look at extensively. But talking about Tenmaku Cinema Chapter 4, this chapter is all about sort of location scouting. Now, as somebody who doesn't really watch and experience a whole lot of movies, this is something that I sort of have known about but don't really know a whole lot about. It's just some interesting thing that has to do with making movies. So let's start off the chapter, right? We sort of get some narration saying, it's Saturday, 7 in the morning, there's no school today. Normally I'd be using this time to study, but as we see Hajime sort of trying to do some homework and stuff. But all of a sudden Tenmaku comes over and is like, what's the matter, Hajime? It's only 7 and you're already stressed? Why don't we watch a movie to get your mind off whatever's bothering you? As Hajime's like, be quiet, Tenmaku, right? Just don't stop bugging me because you're bored, right? I don't care about this. He's like, I've got to get ready to shoot the soar and we really need to get moving. As he's sort of planning out the movies, we see he's sort of got 5 boxes here, just like decide locations, assign roles, prep materials, draft filming schedule, and actually starting shooting. And he's like, alright, so I think this is how it will go, as Tenmaku's like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, a storyboard, eh? As we see that he is also trying to storyboard out the movie, as we get the explanation of what a storyboard is, and it's pretty much a set of design shared with the cast and crew, showing camera angles, composition shots, and yada yada yada. Pretty much saying how shots will be filmed and how the actors need to be ready for these said shots to be filmed. And Tenmaku's like, oh, you're the type who draws out all the scenes. That's really thorough. I mean, that's really good. And Hajime is like, well, the pros might not need them, but since I'm new at this, it probably won't hurt at all just to do this, right? As he hands Tenmaku some of them that he drew yesterday, he's like, hey, look at these. And Tenmaku's like, oh wow, I'm impressed, as we actually see what they look like. And Tenmaku's like, oh, but the short isn't a fantasy film, what's up all this real planet? And Hajime pretty much just explains himself away that he's just bad at drawing stuff, right? And pretty much Tenmaku's like, damn it, Hajime, this isn't good, right? We need to make a good thing for this movie and need to make a good movie that's in the story here, right? He's like, Ryu Shirakawa drew exquisitely. He can whip out beautiful storyboards and character sketches in no time. As Hajime is just like, don't compare me to a legendary director, right? That's just messed up. As Tenmaku's like, well, I appreciate your dedication and all, but first we need to check out locations, right? And Hajime is like, site locations? As pretty much reminds like, it's site recon, also known as location scouting. As we get sort of that little title page of Hajime and Tenmaku on the town, the Tenmaku Cinema title, and all of that good stuff, right? So we see they go to Mitsushita Park, and Tenmaku's like, man, this is really different. When did they build that shop? And all of these, what's going on over here, right? And it's like, a lot has changed over 30 years. I mean, that's true. I mean, I can look at the town that I live in, and while I haven't been around for 30 years, I've been around for a little over half that. But things have changed around me, so that's just a really cool note showing that, yeah, in 30 years, the place will really change. Showing that Tenmaku's also been around here, probably for location scouting, which is sort of an interesting detail, right? As he starts to fly away, and he's like, ooh, what's that? And I like it how Hajime sort of like, Tenmaku, quit zipping around. As he can't really yell it because he looked crazy and insane, being that Tenmaku is pretty much a ghost that only appears to him. So it's a bit of a funny thing, right? But Hajime is just like, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Nobody can see him, and I'm not really going to look like a crazy person here. As we see that dogs can see Tenmaku, right? And Tenmaku is just taking all the attention he can get. He's like, oh man, you can see me? I was a real dog lover when I was alive, right? As they start to follow him, and he's just like, huh, they're following me. What now, Hajime? Can we keep them? And Hajime just sort of looks over to him and sort of whispers again, like, they already have owners, come on, let's get going, right? At this point, we get some narration pretty much telling us sort of the plot of the movie in a way. It pretty much says that The Shore is a movie that takes place by the ocean, but in the middle of the story, there is a scene set in Tokyo. Shimada, a 30-year boy in high school, is dragged by Nagisa, his childhood friend, into going into Tokyo on a quick errand, right? As they walk around Tokyo, we learn Nagisa's life story, and it's a very crucial scene that reveals her inner world and her inner self, right? This is probably a big scene that Kurai probably based a lot of her ideas on, being that she is sort of an actor that wants to get into the mindset of Nagisa. So this was probably a section that really influenced her to come and have that whole discussion like in chapter 2 or whatever it was, right? And we see, as we cut back to, I mean, we never cut away from Hajime and Tenmaku, but Hajime's like, hey Tenmaku, I know what this city looks like. I mean, I go to Shibuya and Shinjuku a lot to see movies, so I don't think I need to visit locations to just draw the storyboards. As Tenmaku's sort of like, what are you talking about? As Hajime's like, look, there's an example. That's where characters walk and stand face to face after arriving in Shibuya, right? I want to compose the shot with the famous statue of Hachiko the dog. As he's like, wait, this isn't good. It's totally crowded around here, right? Not only would we get far enough back to actually shoot the actors, but all kinds of strangers would end up being in these shots, so we can't shoot here. As what's going on is, Tenmaku's like, to film in public, you need to file a request to the police, and they usually won't let you stop and film a scene in a train station unless you want to do a girl-style shoot without permission, right? As Hajime's just like, yeah, I don't think I want to do that. And this is sort of a really interesting idea because, yeah, to shoot these locations, you would have to have people around. You can't really just go and film people and put it up on the big screen without sort of their consent in a way. So it's just a really sort of interesting idea here. And especially like Tenmaku's like, yeah, it's not really how you film movies, right? And Tenmaku's like, alright, well, if we can't use the train station, we'll just have to find our spot. As long as we can see the train tracks in the background, as they just keep moving, and he's like, man, it's so crowded everywhere. As eventually they get to some space, right? And Tenmaku's like, only problem is you can't see the train station from here at all. And he's like, see, this is why location scouting is very important. As I sort of like this moment where Hajime is just like, yes, I was an idiot. Location scouting alone is extremely time consuming, right? And he's like, making a movie is a monumental task. I don't know if I can do it. But Tenmaku's just like, look, why not you call it a day? I mean, you are obviously tired here. And he's just like, hey, let's go see a movie. I want to check out the big screen in theaters. And Hajime sort of just looks at Tenmaku and is like, this was Tenmaku's plan all along, wasn't it? He's just like, damn you, of course this is what you'd be doing. As he sort of starts walking around, and he sees this sort of pedestrian bridge. And he looks up to it, grabs out his, I guess it's like, I guess it could be a paper and pencil, but also could be a digital apparatus, I don't really tell. And he starts to draw something out, and Tenmaku sort of looks over and he says like, hey, what's going on, Hajime? And Hajime is like, oh, well, this is a pedestrian bridge in rain. But Tenmaku's like, but there aren't any rainy scenes in the shore. Now he goes to sort of explain the scene. He's just like, well, in scene 12, they're crossing a pedestrian bridge. It's one of my favorite scenes in the shore. And he's like, I've read the script at least 80 times. And Tenmaku's like, I don't think he's exaggerating that fact. I mean, I've seen him do it. And pretty much Hajime continues, is like, but just now when I saw this pedestrian bridge, for some reason I had a vision of scene 12 with some rainfall. And he's like, I know we can't use it, but if the characters get wet in the rain, it will connect to the next scene and everything. As Tenmaku sort of holds his hand with the paper in it and holds it up to where the bridge is, right? Sort of focusing it correctly in a way. And he then sort of moves it up as we sort of see now that the rain's happening and that Nagisa, the character, sort of standing there. As his eyes sort of go to a cool color, so we see he gets like a flash of inspiration. We really get a really awesome full page spread here on page 12, as once again, Tenmaku just grabs Hajime's arm and just makes him write stuff down. And we sort of see that it looks really weird as he's doing this, just like on a park bench seat or whatever. But eventually Tenmaku's just like, done. now everything is connected, right? As we see the script for the shore, if I could speak, this is the second draft of it, right? And he's just like, just swapped out the Parkside fixed and it'll all be good. And Hajime's just like, oh, okay, that works. As he sort of grabs, he's like, between the rain and the new dialogue, the pain in Nagisa's heart really hits you hard. He's like, incredible. He took my whim and transformed it into the scene, and this scene is now incredibly powerful. As he's just like, wait, if we added a rainy scene, won't that make the movie so much harder to shoot? I mean, we're going to have to wait for rain now. As Tenmaku's like, so what, it'll make it a masterpiece. As Hajime's sort of like, ah, crap, why'd I do that? This is a bad idea. As we sort of see Tenmaku start to think back to his past whenever he was around director Ryuichi Shirakawa, and he's just like, director, old man, hey, Gramps. And the guy's like, oh, you're done, Taiki? And somebody's just like, oh, you're done, he says. Yes, I fixed the script. He said Tenmaku handing it to him. He's like, thanks to your storyboard, I had to go back and rewrite the script. As we see Ryuichi Shirakawa's like, ha, I know you, Taiki. When you agree to edit your script, it means you're really excited about the idea. As we sort of see Tenmaku's like a tsundere at this point. It's like, ah, shut up, right? As we see it now here in the present with his ghostly form, he's sort of smiling about this. I really like this idea. I mean, it's giving more length to the character of Tenmaku, sort of showing that whenever he edits the script like this, it's an idea that he's really fond of. And he really liked Hajime's idea here, and he's willing to go with him. I also love the little note of having the rainy scene on a bridge is going to make the movie so much harder to film, because it's not like they can add a rain in post-production. It has to be raining while they film it, which is just a really cool idea, and it's something I'm really excited to get into. So again, we just go back to Tenmaku here, and he's just looking back to Hajime, and we see that now they go back to their house, and we see Hajime's on the phone and talking to somebody, and they're just like, wait, tomorrow? And Hajime's like, yes, today it was really clear, but we can't film without scouting locations first, even places we go all the time in Tokyo. And he's like, also scouting can spark inspiration for a few scenes. I want to go check out all the potential sites for the beach scenes as soon as possible. As we see that he's sort of taking this lesson of screening to heart, going to the locations, seeing them out, and he's sort of telling that to everybody, sort of relaying the information of, yeah, we need to go to these places and we go there a lot, and also can spark an inspiration for new scenes, which is pretty much what we've seen in this chapter so far. And we see his friend Akisu's there, just like, sorry, I'm supposed to help out a friend tomorrow, so I'll be busy all day. And we see he also calls his two friends, Bito and Chino, and they're just like, wait, tomorrow? Oh, I'm sorry, Hajime, I can't, right? As Hajime's just like, man, well, they're too busy. I mean, it was a real last-minute request after all. As we see that there's what I'm going to guess is a group chat here. As we see that Hajime here, and he gets a text from who I am guessing is Akisu, being that their sort of profile image is a guitar. Being that we know that Akisu's in the band, I'm just sort of put two and two together there, but for all we know, that could be Bito for all we know, right? But he's pretty much like, Hajime, about the location scouting. Sorry I can't help, but did you find someone to go with you? Or are you okay to go alone? As, oh, look here. Hajime actually says, oh, it's Akisu. He's always so thoughtful, right? As we sort of see that Tenmaku sort of points out, like, oh, to do with the long hair, right? He's a good-looking guy. I sort of find this funny because we know that Tenmaku has long hair, so this is a little funny thing there, I guess. But we see all of a sudden that Karai texts in the chat. He's like, location scouting, win. As Hajime is just like, what? What's this? As we cut to the morning as they're on a train, and what's going on here? Tenmaku's like, wait, Hajime, slow down, right? As Hajime's like, oh, come on, Tenmaku, you should have just stayed home. Since when do ghosts get motion sick on a train? Okay, that's a fun little thing here, right? And he's just like, I always get for sick on long train rides back when I was alive. And he's just like, are you okay? What's going on? As we see somebody walk up, like, okay, let's go. As we see with Hajime and Tenmaku is Karai, who's here. And she's just like, time to find a beach for the shore. As Hajime's like, Karai, not so loud. People will know you're Himekiki Karuki. As that's the end of the chapter is Karai's here and she's going with him with her busy schedule. Oh boy, look at that. So, I really enjoyed this chapter. I think it's it's 19 pages, so we're sort of finally getting to that regular chapter length. I really do love most of what this chapter offers. It has some nice interactions between Tenmaku and Hajime. The dogs can see him, and his motion sick now. Just a bunch of fun little jokes like that. And also the whole inspiration of writing the new scene and all of that. I think it works very well. And at the end of the chapter, Karai is coming with Hajime and them to go do location scouting when she was apparently supposed to be so busy. What's going on here? But there's one big problem with this series so far that I know that some people have pointed out, but I just want to reiterate it here, and it's just that we don't know what the shore is about. I mean, we've seen glimpses of pieces. We obviously know that there's a character called Nagisa, who's the main character, and also this character, if I can find their name again. I'm looking. Shimada, who is this boy who was apparently childhood friends with Nagisa, right? It's mainly shot on a beach, and Nagisa is a very emotionally conflicted character, and the pain in her heart is more shown in this new rainy scene that got written. But we don't know much about the plot of the shore, and we just know bits and pieces of it. And I'm sure eventually we'll probably get, 3 chapters detailing the whole filming of the movie and the actual movie itself. If it's not, we sort of skip over the filming. But I'm sure we're going to get complications with that, so we just need to watch and see. But overall, that's just the thing about this series, is why I am enjoying it massively. The authors here, Yuto Sakuda and Shun Sayeki, have done a great job with this. Of course, I know that Food Wars is a very popular series, also being that they wrote it, but I've not really ever experienced it, so I don't really know. But I know that people who enjoy it really do enjoy it. And hey, here in this series, it's also being really good so far, and I'm really enjoying it. I mean, we can obviously tell these guys know how to write, but it's just that problem of I really don't know what to think, about this whole movie situation, being that we don't know the actual plot of it. Now, I'm enjoying the series, as I've said like 4 times now, but I just hope that we soon get the plot of the movie to be able to go forward and for me to be able to enjoy this even more. But with that, this is a great chapter of Tenmaku Cinema. I'm real excited to see what happens next time with the whole Karai stuff, and oh, look at that, they're going to go to the beach. Whoop-dee-dee. So yeah, without further ado, I don't have really much else to say, and yeah, if you're enjoying the Tenmaku Cinema videos, then please give them a like, subscribe to the channel, and do all that good stuff. And yeah, this will be it, and I'll be Glowplasma231 out.